and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading, but for those of you who are new to the circle, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every single day. And if you're looking for daily short tarot readings, check out my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube Shorts. If you're looking for personal services or personal readings, I offer them through my website, innercircleguidance.com. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. All right. Sorry, I don't mean to snicker. It's the Queen of Pentacles is the card that was sticking out. We have Justice, King of Wands, Eight of Wands, Two of Wands, a lot of fire energy. Knight of Pentacles. We have the Ten of Wands on the bottom of the deck here. Interesting. Okay. So some of you are struggling a little bit with balance here. And this goes back to subtle energies, okay? But the Queen of Pentacles is always, to me, for the most part, somebody who tends to be very nurturing and tends to overgive in certain situations. The King of Wands is somebody who is very highly respected, very good at motivating people. They're a good leader. The King of Wands to me is more of a masculine energy, not because it's a king, but because the King of Wands has a little bit more of this like, I want to lead, I want to be the leader type of energy. Whereas the Queen of Pentacles is a leader, but is also willing to follow the right people. And sometimes follow in the sense of being nurturing as well, even to the wrong people. And you're being asked to balance your masculine and feminine energies, which makes a lot of sense because we do have the Aries eclipse coming up. There's a lot of fire energy here on the table. And you're being asked to balance those two energies, but also try to remain balanced as these changes are occurring. And I'm seeing with the Eight of Wands that things are going to be coming in very quickly here. There's going to be a lot of communication coming in from spirit. There's going to be a lot of opportunity coming in. Things are going to be picking up very quickly. And with the Two of Wands, you're really going to have to make sure that with the amount of opportunities and things that are coming in, that you are still looking ahead and looking towards your long-term goals and making sure that these opportunities and things are aligning. And you have to remember that just because you're given a key to a door doesn't mean you have to open the door and walk through it. You can put the key in your back pocket. But other times when you're given opportunities, sometimes that's the only time that opportunity is going to present itself at that particular time with that particular person or in that particular situation. And so you have to use your discernment to decide which opportunities to take moving forward and which maybe to decline, or which that maybe are in alignment with what you're trying to do and which maybe would be in alignment, but maybe it's not the proper timing yet for you to do that. And you need to make sure that when it comes to your timing, that you are making sure it's not the timing in the sense that you're too afraid to do it, but that it's a timing in the sense of it makes sense for you to do it, as in you have the energy and time and things to put into that opportunity. But going back to this Queen of Pentacles and King of Wands energy here. With the Ten of Wands here, I'm seeing that there's some burdens from the past surrounding this type of energy that need to be released and healed. I'm also seeing that This is being brought to your attention so that you don't repeat your past mistakes and you don't take all these wands with you. And you are very, very close to closing out these major cycles, but you have to finish the work. So let's get a couple more cards here. I just heard in regards to timing, the King of Wands is somebody who sort of more charges ahead and takes action quickly. And the Queen of Pentacles is somebody who likes to plan more. And so you need to find balance between spontaneity and flexibility and your planning for some of you, especially when it comes to your career stuff. We have Judgment. We have the Ten of Swords. We have the Four of Pentacles. We have the Magician. We have the Moon. Bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Pentacles. And I did just see the Lover's card, so I will take that. Okay. So remember what I had said about masculine and feminine energies and balance of that, and talking about the eclipse coming up. There's some either hidden energy or hidden emotion here with this situation that's going to be coming to the forefront. And it's being brought to your attention because you are a manifester and you want to make sure that you're working through some of these energies so that you are not bringing them with you forward into your relationships and into your manifestations moving forward. So I'm going to say this slowly so that you have sort of this time to let things sink in. There is a difference between being alone and being independent. There is a difference between liking your alone time and being okay with being alone. So let's tackle the first one. There's a difference between being alone and being independent. Oftentimes people think that just because they're alone, that makes them independent. That is not always the case. Being alone and being independent are two different energies. They're not energies that necessarily automatically coincide with each other. I'm seeing in the past here that you've made decisions that brought you to endings that were very painful with the wrong people. And I'm seeing that you need to work a little bit on your self-awareness here. And I'm sorry for those of you who this triggers you. I'm not trying to be mean or nasty, but I'm telling you what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear. You are not as independent as you think you are. And I'm seeing that here with this Four of Pentacles, the Judgment card, the Ten of Swords. We have the Lovers, which has to do with choices, not just relationships, but choices in general. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles, which has to do with independence and authenticity. The Four of Pentacles is an energy of somebody who's holding on to past beliefs, holding on to what they have because they're afraid of losing it. When you're in that energy, you're in a lacking energy. When you hold on to somebody because you're afraid of losing them and you overgive and you shift your mindset into making them the most important thing in your life, instead of prioritizing your needs and yourself and your self-respect, you end up attracting partners who are not authentic, who you're not being your authentic self with, and it's never going to have the outcome that you're looking for. And for some of you, it is because you think that just because you've been alone, that you're independent. I'm seeing that there's codependency here on your partner, but not maybe in the way that you think. Codependency can come in a lot of forms. Codependency can come as not wanting to be alone ever. It can come as wanting the other person to constantly take care of you all the time or be responsible for your happiness. It can come as you overgiving to the other person because you need that validation from them. Or if you're in a toxic or abusive relationship, overgiving to somebody because you need to either feel important or feel loved. And that's a problem because you need to feel important and feel loved on your own. And if you haven't learned how to do that yet, you will continue to attract these types of partners because you haven't learned where that healthy boundary is. And you have to remember something about toxic and abusive relationships. The entire point of those relationships is control. They intentionally will manipulate you emotionally and mentally so that you fear them, so that you ignore your needs and your own pain, and you make justifications for why that's normal. And then they also make it to where they manipulate you into ignoring your instincts and your intuition. It puts you in a state of mind where you're taking on unrealistic burdens and you're taking on unrealistic expectations and thought processes because it becomes all about feeding the other person's ego. And it becomes a game of cat and mouse because you're constantly chasing to feed their ego so that they then give you the affection or the love or attention or whatever it is that you're looking for from them. Being alone does not make you independent. So if you are by yourself and single at this time, that does not mean that you will be independent in a relationship. Independence is learned. It's a choice. It's not something that just happens because you're by yourself. Independence is more than paying for your own bills or living by yourself in your own house. Independence is freedom, and it takes somebody truly courageous and strong to be free because you have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for that independence and that free thinking mind, and you have to draw those boundaries and have that respect for yourself and that love for yourself. Now let's jump into the other one of liking alone time does not mean that you like being alone. There are plenty of narcissists, and I'm not saying you're a narcissist, by the way, this is just an example. There are plenty of narcissists who like their alone time, but they can't stand to be by themselves in the sense that they always have at least one to however many partners on the back burner at all times, because they hate being alone. They always need, their validation is tied to needing somebody else to feed that ego that they have. It's tied to their controlling of other people. So even when you're not a narcissist and you're not a toxic person, liking your alone time is not the same thing as liking who you are by yourself. Liking your alone time does not equal you giving yourself that self-respect, that self-love that you deserve, or the self-worth that you deserve. It's a choice. And remember what I said about freedom. Being a truly free person requires a lot of strength and courage. And so what I'm seeing here, this goes back to those subtle energies. And I feel like that's what these last couple readings have been leading up to this one, because this one is very important for a lot of you who keep attracting the wrong partners. And I'm not even talking about romantic partners, because you have to keep in mind that these things that are problems in romantic relationships are only so obvious because you spend the most time with your partner. But these are actually problems that are going to flow back and forth between your romantic relationships and your non-romantic ones. And so you need to get to the root of the problem here, because I'm seeing that you still haven't quite gotten to the root of it, whether it's your self-worth, that's the issue, or it's your self-respect, or whatever it is, your self-love, whether it is you figuring out how to be that person that you need for yourself. And that's what this 9 of Pentacles is all about. That is the embodiment of that energy. And we actually had gotten this card and the Queen of Pentacles in a different energy talking about subtle energies. The difference between someone who stands in their power and draws the line and somebody who maybe may overgive in the background. You're being drawn back to this energy. You're being asked to heal it. You're being asked to confront it head on. And the thing is that if you choose to keep ignoring it, it's going to come up during the eclipse when the eclipse is actually at its heightened state, which is going to be a lot harder for you to work through because the eclipse is going to bring up a whole bunch of stuff all at the same time. That's what eclipses do. It brings up all the hidden energies for healing. It's a huge cleansing process. But if you keep ignoring these things in your life and you are not slowly working through them, they will all attack you at the same time during the eclipse. And that's why people get so overwhelmed and frustrated and upset and depressed and anxious. You want to make sure you're constantly putting the work into your spiritual side of things. And remember, I had said in some of these other manifestation readings that you needed to have a strong relationship with spirit. I'm not just talking about spirit in the universe. I'm talking about your spiritual self. You need to have a strong relationship with you, your higher self, your inner voice, your intuition. Part of that comes down to this type of energy. If you are falling into the categories of the two things I've been talking about in this reading, where you're thinking that independence is the same thing as being alone, or you're thinking that liking your alone time is the same thing as being fine with being alone or being okay by yourself, then you are not as in tune with your self-awareness and your spiritual self as you think you are, because you are cutting off aspects of yourself that demand your respect and love and attention. So I would say that you need to start journaling and figure out what the root of the problem is. You need to figure out where you may be doing this in your relationships. And for those of you who maybe aren't struggling with this particular issue, get back to the fact of there's some sort of imbalance happening in your energies, in the subtle energies. Find it, pinpoint it, work on it. And remember, take your time in the sense that don't get frustrated with your own spiritual journey, because spiritual journeys take time, and you're going to have days where you end up winning and your progress wins, and days when your old habits and old thought processes win. That's normal, okay? As long as you're working towards taking those steps forward and you're working towards the progress, you are still making progress. You are still moving forward. So don't let the bad days win. And actually, that's going to be your affirmation for this reading. I am not letting the bad days win. I am paying attention to the subtle differences in energies. And I am building a stronger relationship with myself and my spiritual being. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.